Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Tommy here. I'm the Scoutmaster for Troop 321. Wanted to talk to you today about a trip that the troop is planning. We're heading out to Mount Rainier out in Washington State. We'll be leaving in July of 2024, and we're inviting you to go. One of the long-range objectives for Troop 321 is to go see the seven wonders of the U.S. This trip will actually check off two of those locations. Both Mount Rainier and Olympic National Park are both on that list. Two groups will be going on the trip. There'll be a backpacking trip. There's going to a backpacking trek group. There's also going to be a sightseeing, day hiking, and fishing group. So those are the two groups that'll be going. As a rule, Troop 321 takes these long-range, high-adventure trips to expose youth to tough but protected environments to help foster growth. We are now opening this trek up to scouts from other troops, scouts and scouters from other troops as of December 1st, 2023. One of the key aspects of this trek is the lottery. Each year, the Mount Rainier National Park holds a lottery to determine who will stay at which campsites on which night at locations along the Wonderland Trail. So the final outcome of that lottery will determine the final plan for this trip. The non-backpacking group will be meeting up with the backpacking group along the way in various spots, and the lottery determination defines where those meetup locations will be. 3 of those 10 overnight spots are accessible by bus. So, one of the things that will help us is the fact that we are starting during the week. That should increase our chances for getting the preferred campsites. So for travel, the way this is going to work is Mr. Terry and Miss Debbie Togstad are going to be taking the bus out a couple of weeks in advance. They'll depart from Long Beach and they'll head on out to Washington State driving the scout bus. Meanwhile, everybody else is going to meet up in Long Beach. We're going to take a charter bus over to New Orleans, catch the plane, and then fly out to Washington State. We'll land at the SeaTac airport in Seattle. That's the Seattle-Tacoma airport. And then at that time, Mr. Terry and Miss Debbie will be picking us up on the scout bus, and they'll deliver us over to Mount Rainier National Park. And so we'll be doing most of our traveling, almost all of our traveling will be exclusively on the scout bus. Everything that we do in Washington State will be on the scout bus, and we'll be using it for transportation. Once the trip is over, Mr. Terry and Miss Debbie will drive us back. They'll bring us back up to SeaTac. We'll catch the plane from there, and then we'll fly back to New Orleans, catch a charter bus, and arrive back in Long Beach. So when we get to Seattle, the first thing we're going to do is drive to Mount Rainier. If we win the lottery like we're hoping to and the campgrounds fall out where we plan, we'll actually start at Cougar Rock Campground. We'll spend a night there. Everyone will spend a night there together. And then the next day, the following day, the Rainier walkers. Those are the hikers that are going to be backpacking around the mountain on the Wonderland Trail. The next day, the Rainier walkers will head out on the trip. Now, the trail itself is 89 trail miles. So that's the trail miles. We'll estimate that we're going to wind up walking over 100 actual miles by the time we do all of our side excursions and any back and forth along the trail. So when you put that in at a 2 mile per hour speed, and then you add an hour for every 1,000 foot of elevation change, that drives our schedule. Our longest day is going to be about 10.5 hours. The shortest day is going to be about 6.5 hours, and it'll take us about 10 days to hike it. Along the way, we're going to have 3 base camps. Those camps are Cougar Rock Campground, Mowich Lake Campground, and Sunrise Campground. And then we'll have 6 outpost camps. The base camps is where we will get resupplied by the Olympians. That's the other group. So they'll resupply us there at those base camps as well as doing their own thing. And we'll talk about that more in a second. But we'll be hiking that way. So then fishing. We're going to do a little bit of fishing along the trail. We've pared this down some just because of where we can fish and the locations that we can legally fish, and we'll pick up some fishing gear on the southern end there and actually wind up doing some hiking, some fishing while we're actually on the trail on this southern end. So we'll start at Cougar Rock if the world works right. We'll end at Cougar Rock, and that's where we'll get picked up at the end of our trek on the 10th day, and we'll head on out to our next destination. In order to get ready for this tough trek, we're going to spend a lot of time preparing, both preparing and training as well as physically conditioning. So we'll start our skills practice. We started that back in November. We started working on camping, backpacking, first aid, and moving on into cooking after the first of the year. We do have planned dates for wilderness survival, orienteering, and pioneering that we'll be doing later on in the year. Some other things that we've identified that we would like to learn and have those skills before we go, or at least review those skills, is basic plant identification, severe weather training, fishing, and wilderness first aid. Those are things that we think would be a good idea to have fresh on our minds. Physical conditioning. So we're going to go ahead and start in August. We've been on a couple of backpacking treks by now, and relearning those skills that we haven't done in a while. So we're getting back into the swing of things with that. So all the way through April and even into May, we'll be doing one outdoor trek a month. As we get closer in April, we're going to start doing 2 to 3 conditioning tasks a week with light or no pack. And then by the time we hit May, we're going to start heavily with 3 to 4 conditioning tasks per week. And we'll do that with a heavy pack. On those tasks, on those training days, what we'll do is we'll go to different locations like we have in the past. We'll go to the seawall, we'll go to the Bay St. Louis Bridge, we'll go up to County Farm where there's a little bit of hill, some elevation change just right there in the woods, as well as checking out the Biloxi Bridge. So we'll be doing some hiking, some backpacking, and conditioning, getting ready for this trip. Scouts will have an opportunity to demonstrate that they know their stuff. We're going to have some qualification treks. The first qualification opportunity, the first time that Scouts will have a chance to do that, is March 8th through 10th. We're going to go down to Florida and do some backpacking down there. It's a 25-mile trek that we have planned on our calendar. The second qualification opportunity is going to be April 12th through 14th on the Black Creek Backpacking Trail. We're going to do some backpacking there. And the third qualification opportunity will be on the Cheeha Trail. It's the Pinchee Sky Loop is what it's called. And that's up near Talladega, Alabama. But we'll be doing that for Memorial Day weekend, May 24th or 25th through the 27th for that one. And that'll be all three of those. Now, for our scouts, we're requiring that they go to at least one. If they can only pick one to go on, we're going to encourage them to go on the Cheeha Trail because that will have the most elevation changes. That doesn't mean that we don't encourage them to get themselves in shape and do conditioning ahead of time, but this will help them do that. So that's the qualification treks that we've got. So there are two groups. There's the Rainier walkers, and then there are the Olympians. The Olympians will be doing their own thing. They will have some fun. They're going to have a good time as well. Their heaviest sightseeing tours, where they're going to cover the greatest distance, will be when the Rainier walkers are on the western side. Once again, that's driven by the lottery, so the days that they go do that won't be determined until the lottery results come back in after March 31st, and then we'll plan out the days for those. So what they'll be doing, they'll leave Paradise, they'll leave Cougar Rock Campground there around Mount Rainier. They'll head out west and they'll head up to the Olympic National Park. They're going to spend, in total, they'll spend about 3.5 days touring Western Washington, and they're going to go up the Pacific Coast Highway. They're going to head out to Lake Ozette to the longhouses near the ocean. They're going to tour Cape Flattery. They're going to be touring Olympic National Park. That's the big ticket item that they're going to be doing. And then they're going to finish the trip up by taking the ferry back over to Seattle at the end of that, before they come back out to Mount Rainier to meet up with the Rainier walkers. And that will be their big trek, their big excursion elsewhere. When the Olympians return back to Mount Rainier, they're going to start working on requirements. They'll have some downtime, but they're also going to be doing some day hikes. They'll do some fishing in the area, camping, cooking, knot tying, and wilderness survival tasks. They'll be working on those types of requirements, working on merit badges, getting those knocked out. And then as a side, they'll also help to resupply the Rainier walkers. They'll be in camp as the Rainier walkers come in, and then they'll meet up. They will do a couple of legs where they'll actually meet up with the Rainier walkers to do some hiking and fishing with them, but it will only be in the form of day hikes for those guys. After the Rainier walkers recombine with the Olympians and it becomes a single group again, the first thing they're going to do is go enjoy some civilization. They're going to go check into a hotel and enjoy a steak or pizza dinner and enjoy what it's like back in civilization. So that'll be the first night back off the trail, 7/19. On Saturday, 7/20, they're going to travel down to Mount St. Helens. That's a couple hours drive. And then on Sunday, on July 21st, they'll do a chapel in the morning, and then they'll head to Hurricane Ridge in the Olympics. Now, both of these days, Saturday and Sunday, those are contingency days. If for some reason one or both of these days get eaten up because there's additional time required on the trail, those events might fall off completely, or just the Olympians themselves will do them. Right now, the plan is for the whole group to be able to go see Mount St. Helens, and then the whole group, including the Olympians, will go see the eastern side of the Olympics. Hurricane Ridge is specifically where we'll be heading. And then on Monday, the 22nd, we'll ferry over from the Olympics over back to Seattle. So the Olympians will have actually ridden the ferry twice by this point, but all of the group will still get to see some pretty significant events, including Mount St. Helens, the Hurricane Ridge in the Olympics, as well as the ferry from the Olympics back to Seattle. On Tuesday, July 23rd, the entire group will go and enjoy Wild Waves Adventure Theme Park. That's a giant amusement park that's got a water theme. And then on Wednesday, July 24th, we'll pack up, we'll hop back onto the bus, head over to the airport, and then fly on back home, where, as we said, we'll return back from New Orleans back to Long Beach on a charter bus. So significant risks that we've thought about. A lot of results unsatisfactory. If we don't get the campsites that we like, we can readjust the trip as needed. We may have to shift around where we're going to start and stop at based on the accessible locations. Also, the smaller backpack treks, if we completely don't get what we want and we have absolutely no campsites that we can stay at and backpack to on days that we can stay there, then what we may wind up doing is just doing smaller backpacking treks, and we'll plan those out in March once we see how the lottery results turn in. So that's our first risk that we're mitigating. A second risk that we're mitigating are the significant trail injuries. If we run into trouble on the trail, one of the things that we'll have with us is a satellite text communication device. So we'll have one on the trail. We'll also be communicating with the Olympians, and so we'll be able to talk to them, or those text devices can also text out to the rangers as well if it's significant enough. So we can work that out with those devices. So significant trail injuries will be taken care of that way. We'll also be doing wilderness first aid training for the trekkers. That's both scouters who are required to have at least 2 scouters, the adults, have to have that to go on this trek, but also we're going to require that the scouts take that wilderness first aid training as well. So we'll have that in our, in our list of things that we're going to take. And then vehicle trouble. We're going to go ahead and plan on getting some good insurance coverage for the bus in case we do have any trouble there, as well as we have contingency days built into the schedule near the end of the trip. So if we run into bus trouble and we can't make it down to, for example, Mount St. Helens, we've got extra time planned in to go manage that. So how much will this whole great, wonderful package cost, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. So the same price that Troop 321 will pay, which is $1,500, the other troops, scouts and scouters, will also pay as well. It'll be $1,500, $1,500. That's the same price that everybody pays. For Troop 321 scouts, they'll make 3 $500 payments. They've already made their first one back at the beginning of November. They'll also have 2 others that they'll be making. Other scouts will need to make 2 payments. One will be due January 15th. The next one will be due on March the 15th, and that's where the final payment will be required. Scouts and scouters are welcome to assist. From other troops are welcome to assist Troop 321 with any additional fundraising that we will do. If you would like to find out more about that, please get in touch with us. So important dates. Right now, Troop 321 has 14 people that have indicated that they are planning to go. They've RSVP'd in Scout Book, and we are now giving that invitation out to scouts and scouters from other Boy Scout troops. On November the 2nd, the Scout Book account had the first payment of $500 deducted, and they're always expected to keep a positive Scout Book account balance. January the 1st, their second payment will be due. That $500 will be deducted from their individual scout accounts. On January the 15th, that's where we will expect the $500 deposit, the initial deposit due from other scouts and scouters from other troops. So that's where that one is due, January the 15th. An additional payment of $1,000 will be expected by March the 15th from other troops. So any scouts or scouters from other troops that are going to be joining us, that's where you'll have to have your final payment in. And then also March 15th will be our first qualification hike weekend opportunity. So scouts can do that there. Scout Book account will have final payment of $500 deducted. So Troop 321 scouts, their last payment will be due April the 1st. And then shortly after that, the second qualification hike weekend opportunity will be there on the 12th. And then our last qualification opportunity will be May the 24th, 25th, through 27th. That's Memorial Day weekend. We'll have our final opportunity to go and qualify. So then June the 15th, that's a Saturday, we'll load gear on the scout bus on Scout Ship Integrity. June the 19th, Miss Debbie and Mr. Terry will depart for Rainier on the bus. They'll be heading on out a few weeks in advance. July 9th, the troop will then depart for Mount Rainier by flying, and we'll be back here in Long Beach on the 24th. So those are the important dates. Those are the big items for this trip. Would love to have you go. Let us know. There are ways to get in touch with us. You can contact me directly, Mr. Tommy. Let me know that you're going. Make sure that you have your payment in by these dates. We will accept PayPal. We do accept other forms of payment as well. Just contact me and let me know. If you have any questions about that or anything else about this trip, by all means, please get a hold of me. We look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to you going and joining us on the Mount Rainier trek. Thanks.